comments about did North also Facetune this, and kind of adding her children and involving them. Sorry, I see a comment. Trolling specifically with AI and Photoshop, or just trolling in general? I'm going to talk about both just because I feel like there's so much to talk about with it. So yes, Kim got called out on this post, and she's been called out multiple times, and people have just tried to cancel her because she chooses to Photoshop her post. And each time she has done it, waves of people have come in her comments and just harassed her, and she's expressed how the pressures and effects of having people ridicule your life can take a huge toll on your mental health, and just worried about your safety, especially with your family. Another example I wanted to talk about trolling is, has anyone heard of Vanderpump Rules? It's been like a huge thing, I feel like, this past year with the last season. So if you haven't, this past season that they were on, two of the characters were dating, and the boyfriend had cheated on her with her long-term friend, or long-term boyfriend cheated on her with like one of her best friends, and people were just outraged. Yeah, yes, I see people are saying like yes. So people were very outraged, and just to the point where it was affecting his livelihood too. So when she's getting all these brand deals, people were commenting. He has a bar in West Hollywood, and they trashed their reviews and everything. So they went from a 4.5 to a 2, all over his personal life. And his business partner expressed how they were just very scared during this time, just because it's hard to open up a restaurant, let alone have people attack it. And was even scared for their employees, because people were threatening to come into the restaurant and stuff. And this is, again, all over his partner's personal life and his choices. And I'm curious what the audience thinks, or what my team thinks. What percentage does trolling really affect our society? And not just like influencers or celebrities.
I think trolling is everywhere, even like just in the comments or personal DMs. It's everywhere, and people are so comfortable to hide behind a screen. They think it's not real life. They think they won't be held accountable. They think that someone can't use your name to find more information about you. And I think it's so negative. I hate trolling. Yeah. I hate bullies. I hate people who hide online.
Oh, you're seeing James Kennedy at the mark? That's so cool. Sorry, I saw that comment. Yeah, I feel like people are so quick to type or to post something, and they don't realize it can affect someone's mental health, and just like not like writing something down or saying something before thinking and realizing it has a huge effect. So MedRiva is an online AI and medical website, and it recently did a study and found that 40% of Americans have encountered online harassment. And within that 40%, 75% of it was on social media. So it's kind of crazy to think about that, because it's almost half our society. And just like in this past year, I feel like, not this past year, but past couple years, we've been talking about cancel culture and like trying to also realize our words have so much power. And I like how we're doing this movement of how can we make social media more real and positive. And there's been talks and just research of how platforms can adjust their algorithm to highlight feeds that empower users, and like feed that is already verified, that are known verified accounts, and also just by users being aware and trying to have positive engagement and focus on that, and not trying to be negative. There's also research on why people choose to troll and to create troll bots, and why it's so, I don't know really, but like I'm trying to figure out the right word to say this, but like why cancel culture is so powerful and why people want to do this.
Jenna, what does the research say about why people choose to troll? Like that's so fascinating. Like I'm always curious about these people who hide behind anonymity, and like it's pretty hurtful or harmful content often. So what does the research say about that? Why do they do that? What's the impetus of motivations?
Yeah, the stuff I was reading, just like in some of the articles you provide us, was just sharing that it can just be a person's mental health and just like them choosing to be so harmful because they want to hurt and
hurt people.
Yeah,
They're insecure.
Yeah.
They're bored. If you have the time to be
they're bored, so they hurt people. Right.
Like clearly you're not at work or at an internship or at school or hanging out with family or doing any of that if you're on your phone in your bed trolling people and being rude.
Yeah. So I wanna just highlight for a second. I think that's such a good point, but I want to take this argument back to early web, where we didn't have social media yet, but trolling was a very real phenomenon. And when we moved news platforms into digital spaces, the comments became a real problem. So this isn't just I want to just highlight, this is not just a social media issue. This is actually a real issue that it is a problem across the internet, not just social media, one. And two, I also want to introduce the idea that not every troll is a human. That we have these computational bots that really are maybe even arguably more problematic than those human trolls that we're speaking about.
Yeah, and that kind of goes along with like why platforms are potentially trying to verify accounts so that they can stop people creating troll bots and creating fake accounts to harm people. Real quick, Ali had something to say.
I just wanted to add that also these trolls often they like the younger generation is also seeing these people comment these things. Even if it's not a person, it's like the AI bots. So they're gonna mimic what they see online. Mm-hmm. And they're going to try to mimic that from a young behavior. And they're learning hate from a young age, enforcing that bad behavior online, which could ultimately like ruin their upbringing in the future, because it's the digital footprint. You have to think about it that way as well. Your digital footprint is long lasting. It's going to be there. And, trolling is just not okay because it's a form of bullying. So
thank you. Yeah. So Karen, at least on my end, Karen's comment on LinkedIn didn't come over here, but she said, I think journalists have a huge lift in this regard in their work. And I think that's true. And I think even more so oops, I didn't mean to do that. I don't even know what I did here. How do I get rid of that?
I guess you can highlight some comments.
I guess you can highlight the comments. That's pretty neat. We just learned something new. But I think it's also the publisher's responsibility. And anytime we have that, that discussion we've had on content moderation becomes so critical and so essential to moderating information. Social media platforms have tried very heavy-handedly to fix this, and I think this is really the impetus of Facebook's real name policy comes from this idea. Look at this, Kylie, I can do this. There is a difference between accountability and trolling. Holding someone accountable doesn't automatically equal negative. Maybe they really like the person and want to be better. Obviously, there's better ways to do it than harass people. But yeah, and that leads to
ChatGPT. Where do you see Chat? Oh, sorry. So there's another comment about ChatGPT. Yeah, and I think it's also being like aware too, like as we get older, people are looking up to us, like the younger generation, kind of like what Ali was saying, and that we need to be an example and a good example. And so being like someone who can change and know that like each one of us can like enforce it and to help stop it. It's not just platforms or celebrities, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a collective thing. So I do have another example of a TV show and trolling well, it's called Catfish. I just ruined it. But has anyone seen Catfish on MTV?
I've seen like clips on TikTok.
Yeah, I used to watch it with my sister, and I didn't know it's still going, and like the show is still running. And it's another example of how just fake photos and AI generated photos, and people hurting other people, and like sorry, I'm trying to fix my nose. And people just like wanting to manipulate someone. And the host, so bear with me, Jan Ving Stolman, he's the host and producer. His team will do a deep dive on these potential partners who are